So I just finished Law of the Jungle, and as it turns out, predatory cats don't get 9 lives. Also known as Tigatron attempts peace for about 11 minutes total. This one focuses around Tigatron accidentally causing the death of Snowstalker, the tiger that he's been palling around with ever since scanning her for his alt mode, and decides to quit the Beast Wars altogether. This one is... This one I feel like this one can be very divisive, because while it is a strong Tigatron episode, there's so many elements to this that bug me. Like, I remember this being a solid episode, especially being a Tigatron-centric episode. But upon watching it again, there's just so many things about it that just didn't sit right with me. Just whatever it was, I'm not even sure what. But upon second viewing, like, okay, now I'm starting to figure it out. All right. So positives, let's do positives. Is our finally we got a good look at Inferno since his debut. He's been strangely absent from the series, and like as said in the past, it feels more and more like Inferno's debut was bumped up so he could appear earlier in the season and get some more toys sold, when it feels like he should have shown up late season, because that seems to be where all of his presence is from then on. It's a weird situation, but we actually get a good look at him here, and he's actually a pretty formidable threat. You know, in both encounters in this episode, Pterosaur and Waspinator are mostly easily handled, as they usually are. Inferno is the one that seems to give everyone difficulty, and is by far the most powerful of the batch. So he finally gets a good showing. He's not, well, I was going to say he's not that manic in this episode, but I did forget the end where he actually has Primal and Dinobot down. He gets pretty manic there. He's very much enjoying his work. I also do like the continuity of calling Tigatron the destroyer of the colony. That actually, since he was the one who blew up the stasis pod. Good on you. Little connections like that strengthen the world building. It's very nice. Yeah, let's hit it like in order here, just to follow along. So Snowstalker returns after only appearing in Fallen Comrades, and her death falls flat. She's technically the first fatality of the Beast Wars, but we barely see her. Like, it's not like Snowstalker is a character. She's essentially a prop for Tigatron. You know, there's nothing really like connecting the audience to her or making me feel like, oh, well, they've had such a long and like relationship and friendship with each other. I would have loved to have seen Snowstalker around when Tigatron was, you know, sending reports from the Arctic, or when he gets communications from, you know, from the Maximals for help, or when Air shows up. Something along those lines. But because Snowstalker is only here, and just for some random reason is up on the mountain when Tigatron's down on the ground, I just don't feel a connection to her as a character at all. It just feels, and while Blue Man Kuma is doing a good job putting some emotion into Tigatron's performance here, so you do get some of that sorrow and pain, it's hard to connect to a character that is really not a character here. So, I don't know. I feel like it could have been a lot stronger here. So, the whole point of this episode is Tigatron being disgusted by how much damage is being done to the planet in the Beast Wars. Now he's got a unique perspective. He's so much more connected to the planet than everybody else. But it is deeply flawed to be able to say, like, I've been in this fight, and now I'm just going to leave you to finish the fight without me, and I'm just taking the peaceful route here. Okay. You can't get peace just by going off on yourself. You know, it's like a sit-in protest. It's like, it's not gonna work. It doesn't work that way. When you have literal evil Predacons bent on world domination and universal conquest, you can't really just go, nah, I'll let you handle it. it doesn't work. What he's doing is going to end up causing more problems than they would fix. And while peace is achieved by one person at a time, you need to try and get the most aggressive ones to agree to that first, and kind of you kind of like take everything down. That doesn't really work when you are already one of the most hands-off Maximals and one of the most hands-off soldiers, and still say no, I'm just leaving. I don't know. It just doesn't work here. It doesn't work here. And I can see Tigatron's perspective, and he's mourning his friend. Okay, I get that. I don't know. It's not the ideology that works in this scenario. There's some good scenes, I will say, between Dinobot and Tigatron in this one. They're interesting sides because they're the two best warriors for the Maximals, but they fight for very different reasons. Tigatron battles because he has to in order to protect the planet, and then Dinobot battles because he wants to. He has a lust for combat and proving himself in honorable combat. So seeing the two play off of each other, that works. I'm glad they gave some time for those two characters to interact. But I don't know. That right there is probably my favorite part, is just watching those two like kind of snarling at each other, trying to psych each other into each other's perspective. There's some weirdness in this episode too. There's some weirdness. So after Dinobot leaves to try and encourage Tigatron to come back to the war, Primal tells Cheetor to return to base and have backup sent because he doesn't know what's about to happen. Okay, this isn't a Predacon threat thing. They were just attacking indiscriminately. If anything, the Preds had no plan here. It's just like, it looks like the Flyers raided the armory and just had a field day with it, because there's so many random things they were playing with. They had cluster bombs that never showed up before or after. They had just piles of missiles they never used. They had a flare. There was a signal flare that had no point whatsoever because they were all like next to each other. You don't need to send up a signal flare when there's 3 of you and you're like within 50 feet of each other. Doesn't work that way. It's just weird things like that. It's like, really, there was no like Predacon plot in this episode. It's just a random attack. Primal does like, it's just, and then like, I don't know why Primal thought he needed backup in this situation. What did he like? He either has that little trust in Dinobot or doesn't trust that he can stop Dinobot himself from doing whatever he's going to do to Tigatron. I don't know why. I don't know what. He does get a little bit of time to talk to Tigatron. We do get a little bit of like Primal's perspective that they have a responsibility to protect the planet and all that. But they cut away from that message before they get into anything that really feels like it would change Tigatron's mind. So we never really got to hear what ever epic speech Primal is capable of that would have like altered the way Tigatron viewed and eventually brought him in to save Dinobot and Primal at the end. What happens as a result is Tigatron's resolve ends up looking extremely weak. This was just, he makes this decision at sunset, and then it's just, barely into night. So even in the series time, you're still looking at maybe a few hours that he decided that he was going to leave the Beast Wars and stay neutral. And then he just changes back. He just changes his mind. All it took is like one sneak attack from Inferno, and he's like, you know what, never mind, I'm back in this. It's things like that. It's like, this feels like something that should have been like a multi-parter or something that should have carried over into following episodes. It just feels so weak. It just feels like his resolve isn't there. Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I hate to do this. I kind of hate to do it because it is a strong Tigatron episode. We got more Inferno, but I'm giving it a skippable rating. It's not a terrible episode. It just feels like filler. Like, there's even scenes in the show, like Dinobot, like, falsely attacking Tigatron after the commercial break just to go on the attack again 30 seconds later feels like padding. It just feels like it wasn't necessary. This whole episode just feels like it has so many problems that it just feels like we had to fill up space before the final episodes where the big plot kicks off. And considering there's only 3 Predacons and I think 4 Maximals in the whole episode, so it's a very reduced cast, it feels like a budget episode. So, yeah, unfortunately not one of my favorites. Alright, so that's going to do it for me for this episode review. Next up, we are beginning the end, what is technically a 3-part series of episodes that all bleed into each other. This is going to be pretty big, so stay tuned. We got some really good ones coming up. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.